My gut feeling always told me that the design of a survey probably impacts response rates, response volumes, the quality of the data that you get. And so I wanted to figure out, is there any scientific evidence for this, or is this just a feeling, right? Here's what I found out. So the short answer is yes, it does. But of course, this is science, so it's always a bit nuanced. There's a great place to start. It's this paper from the Washington State University, where they basically had a group of people, or two groups of people, fill in the same survey. One in an aesthetically pleasing variant and one in an aesthetically displeasing variant. And they measured the data quality that they got back from the responses. They measured that across 30 different points of comparison, and 16 of those clearly showcased that there was better data quality in the aesthetically pleasing variant versus the aesthetically displeasing variant. So to give you some examples, people were less likely to emit responses in the aesthetically pleasing variant. 58% of the respondents omitted a response in the aesthetically pleasing variant versus a whopping 67% in the aesthetically displeasing variant. Another point of comparison showed negatively skewed responses for scale type questions. So typically a Likert scale, you have to rate something from agree to disagree or vice versa. In the aesthetically displeasing variant, responses were negatively skewed. So essentially, the design of your survey not only impacts how people fill in your survey, less likely to omit questions or lower response rates, but also impacts the actual answers people will give to your survey. So if you build a ugly survey, people will answer negatively on, or more negatively than they would otherwise, on scaled questions. And that's actually in line with other research as well that showcases that, for example, in longer text areas, so in bigger text areas, people respond with more volume. So the design of your survey has definitely an impact on the quality of your data. At this point, you might think, okay, so why don't just go nuts on the design of my survey? I'll build the prettiest survey that's out there. I'll make it super artistic and super fancy. Of course, there is a limit to what you can achieve, at which point you're starting to hurt your survey more than you're going to increase the performance or the data quality. So this research in Australia shows that there's a correlation between the creative aesthetics and the impact effect on your users. So for example, the interest that they show in the survey, the pleasure that they have in filling in, or the perceived ease of use of the actual survey. And of course, that also reaches a certain maximum. At a certain point, you start to hurt the ease of use of your survey if you become too creative. So essentially, there's this curve where you need to figure out how creative you need to be for a specific type of user, more specifically, and in a particular context. If the survey is going to be filled in between two tasks on the field, you might not want to go crazy on the design, right? This research also shows that the social presence of your survey not only impacts the perceived ease of use, but also the trust that the respondents immediately assign to you as a researcher. So if social presence doesn't ring a bell immediately, it's essential how human your survey feels, which is a very vague concept. So for example, you can increase that by using informal language, using images of the researchers, those kinds of things. Make your survey feel more human, and is going to increase the trust that the respondents have in you as a researcher and positively impact the perceived ease of use. Another way that you can increase the social presence of your survey is by using something called answer piping. So essentially, you're going to use the responses to one question to create the next question. So typically, a first name would then come up somewhere else in a different question. And other research has shown that you can increase the response rate of your survey purely by using things like answer piping by up to 8.7%, which is actually quite a lot if you use just a simple feature like that. So in conclusion, yes, the design of your survey absolutely has an impact on not only the data quality, but also the response rate and the response volume. Up until a certain point, don't overdo it like everything else in life. So it's definitely worth investing your time into. Designing a nice looking survey, an aesthetically pleasing survey, is going to make sure that you get the most out of the time and the responses of your users. If you're looking to build a survey with Weavly, you can design and publish completely custom surveys from Figma. You can go check it out at weavly.ai.